Hey, this is Jordan. I'm doing another video post here and just gonna actually answer a couple of questions that I got on my YouTube channel. And feel free again to post on either like on any of the videos or comments on any of the blog posts. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you have. The couple of questions that I got were on the Nike Free Plus and the Nike Free 3.0s, and kind of what my thoughts were on that, as well as the New Balance Minimus, the road versions. And I did do a video post on the Minimus road versions, and I really like them. Right now I haven't been using them so much just because they've kind of given me a little problem as far as with my foot. I had a stress fracture that I'm kind of just recovering from, so those are kind of a little on the minimal side as far as trying to ease my foot back into a lot of miles. So I haven't been using them a whole lot, but I do think they're a great shoe. They have a great feel, and they seem to hold up pretty well. So I definitely recommend those. But they are very minimal, so you really want to work those in slowly, just to try to avoid some injuries. As far as the Nike Run Plus shoes, I've never tried those. I've heard they're really good. They are kind of a somewhat minimal shoe, but they still have a fair amount of support. So for someone who's looking to start getting down the path of a more minimal shoe, I think it'd probably be a good step. But again, I've never tried them, so I really can't say too much about it. As far as the Nike Free 3.0s, I've had two pairs of those, and I do really like those shoes. I've put over 600 miles, I think, on both of those pairs. So for me, I get a lot of mileage out of them, and they are a really nice shoe as far as the feel of them. They're super light, and they give you that minimal running shoe that I can actually do a lot of speed work in, as well as actually do some longer runs. Again, these are minimal shoes, so you do want to work them in slowly. When I first started, probably 2 years ago, using the Nike Free 3.0s, I only used them for kind of my speed workouts, shorter runs, and that type of thing, and really didn't use them for any long runs up until this last year. My foot kind of got used to foot in my stride kind of got used to having a minimal shoe, and so now I can run 20 milers in them if I want to. But it does take a while, so I would definitely encourage you to take it easy if you're looking at that type of a minimal shoe. The other question I had was on bottle belts versus like a handheld, and I've tried a couple of different bottle belts, and I don't like them personally, just because they bounce around. You either have one big bottle in them, or two, or some smaller ones that go around, and I just don't like any of them. They seem to just bounce around too much when I run, so I don't really like bottle belts. But not that they're a bad piece of equipment or gear, but I just don't prefer them. I usually always use a handheld, and I've had the Nathan's handheld and another kind of just generic one. I forgot the brand name, but I really like those specifically because you can get access to the water really easy. You just have it in your hand, and it's right there. So it's really easy as far as accessing your water. And for me, who runs on trails a lot and has the potential to trip and fall a fair amount, they actually provide you a little bit of protection. So if you had, this isn't it, but if you're running with the bottle and you fall down, you can brace yourself with the bottle, and it actually helps to kind of protect your hand a little bit. So I like the handhelds, and that's what I prefer, but really it's a preference. Neither one is necessarily better, it's just what you prefer. The last question is on sports drinks versus water, and it's an interesting question because I would normally just tell you the kind of the standard spiel about when to have sports drinks versus water, but I actually just listened to a podcast. It's the Endurance Podcast, and they do a Q&A with Ben Greenfield, who's an endurance sports nutritionist, and he just found out, or was reading about a study about the body's ability to regulate its sodium electrolytes naturally. And what the study did was it took two different groups of soldiers that went out on like a 10-mile hike or a 10-hour hike, and it was really hot out, and they were definitely sweating and perspiring and losing a lot of fluids. And both groups would drink to thirst, and so they didn't have a regulated set amount they had to drink. They just, whenever they felt thirsty, they would drink. And one of them had a sports drink with electrolyte replacements, sodium, that type of thing, and others just had plain water. And they tested their sodium or electrolyte levels of both groups after they were done, and they were the same. And so the theory is that your body will naturally regulate the amount of sodium and electrolyte loss naturally. So you wouldn't necessarily need a sports drink or any type of sodium replacement if you're drinking the proper amount of water. But this theory hasn't been completely tested through, so we'll see. Hopefully they'll do a follow-up podcast on it to see, because it'd be interesting to find out if you actually really need to be doing a lot of sodium and electrolyte replacement. In general, what you should be doing as far as a sports drink versus water, the sports drink's never going to really hurt you, whether it's Gatorade, Powerade, Heat, or whatever. Basically, it's going to be some calories in there, as well as electrolyte replacement. So you really can't go wrong. I mean, if you want to drink Gatorade every time you work out, that's perfectly fine. And if you want to just do water, for majority of people and the majority of the workouts, water is just going to be fine. The only issue you would run into where you would need to maybe do a sports drink rather than just water would be if it's really, really hot out, or you're doing a really long run. You would probably want a sports drink just for that electrolyte replacement again. And going back to the new theory from Ben Greenfield, it might change, but the theory or the common practice right now is if you're doing a run over roughly maybe 10 miles, or going to be out working out for more than an hour and a half, you probably want to do a sports drink or some type of electrolyte replacement. A lot of times I'll just do water, but I'll have one of these gels, and this is the Power Bar gel or Clip Blocks or Shot Blocks, and you can even take like a salt tablet or something like that. So in general, if you're going to do a workout that's under 10 miles or hour and a half, 2 hours, and it's not really, really hot out and you're not really sweating a whole lot, you're going to be fine with water. You might want to take a look at doing a sports drink if you're doing a longer run, 10 miles plus, or if it's really hot out and you're really sweating and you're losing a lot of potential electrolytes. You might want to take a look at that. So again, thanks for the question. It was Matt. Thanks again for commenting and asking your questions. Definitely feel free to again post some more questions. I'd be more than happy to answer them, and hopefully this would be helpful. So again, thanks, and keep the questions coming. Thanks.